Feliz Navidad. Our readings today are from the book of Isaiah, chapter 52, verses 7 through 10. Our psalm is Psalm 98. Our second reading is from Hebrews chapter 1, verses 1 to 6, and our gospel is from the Gospel of John, verses 1 through 14. I lost a friend this week, a priest, a co-worker in the vineyard, a brother in Christ, an ally. It's complicated. I didn't like Father the first time I met him. I was scheduled to preach that weekend, and he showed up at the Saturday evening Mass, filling in for my pastor. I had never met him before. He came through the door and greeted everyone else in the sacristy, except me, and told the lector, "I'm here, but I'm not preaching. The deacon is giving the homily. I bet they'll be touched by the Spirit. They'll be speaking in tongues, and some of them will even rest in the Spirit." He chuckled to himself, nodded at me, and shuffled off to change for Mass. I started to rework my homily on the spot to include something about the arrogance of the clergy and how that's exactly what's wrong with the Catholic Church today, but I couldn't find a pen. So I left it alone, and I gave the homily that I had prepared. I really don't remember what the readings were or what I talked about in the homily, but when I sat down next to him, after I was done, Father leaned over, grabbed my hand, and said, "That was wonderful. Thank you." And again, at the sign of peace, he said, "Excellent homily. Just what we needed to hear. Thank you." And again in the sacristy after Mass, just as nice and complimentary as could be. But of course, since I hold grudges, at least for a day or two, I thought, yeah, but you came in here, talking smack, being a smart aleck, making fun of me. You jerk. But I liked him anyway. It's complicated. He filled in for the pastor a couple of other times when I preached, and when he would greet me before Mass, he would always say how glad he was that I was preaching, that he knew it would be good. And he preached a couple of times too, and that wasn't half bad either. And I started to see Father out in the world also. We were involved in some of the same ministries, ecumenical work, and the LGBT ministry. We always talked, and sometimes we sat together. We formed a casual friendship. He was very personable, a great guy. But it was complicated, because I had heard some rumors. The kind of rumors that we Catholics only recently started talking about, once grand juries got involved. And I don't know what's true or not true. And at the time, we Catholics still weren't talking about this type of stuff, and I decided that for me, rumors don't matter. The man that I knew, the priest that I saw, doing good in God's name. He had a positive influence on me, and he had a positive influence on others. And those rumors were from so long ago, and had been dealt with by people with much bigger collars than mine. And the Lord works in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform, and I knew that we weren't supposed to talk about this stuff back then, and that we really don't want to talk about it now. You see, it's complicated. And I read recently that the diocese is launching an investigation into my friend's case and to any other case that the diocese has had in its history to determine if there was any wrongdoing, and if there was, what it was, and if it was handled correctly. And I don't know what they'll find out. The bishop says he doesn't expect them to find anything, that everything has been handled appropriately, and I hope that he's right. But honestly, what else is he going to say? And he hasn't been here that long, so really they're investigating his predecessors. And then this week, my friend dies. So at worst, they'll find wrongdoing by a dead priest and mishandling by a bishop who's not our bishop anymore, thank God. See, it's very complicated. Because I have seen the good Lord working through my friend to bring people to Christ. And I see that God uses people for his glory, whether they are strong and righteous or weak and sinful. And if we are truthful, we all know that he uses more of the latter than he does of the former, because weak, sinful people is what we are. And maybe the investigation will show that my friend was all right and that everything was handled correctly, and maybe it will show that he should have been in jail. I don't know. But what I do know, what God has shown me, is that he would have used my friend to spread the gospel wherever he ended up. It doesn't excuse or condone the bad that we do. But God does use broken and sinful vessels every day to deliver his truth of salvation to the world. It's complicated. But when Jesus was born of the Virgin Mary in a stable in Bethlehem, when the Word was made flesh to dwell among us, when Jesus Christ came into this world, the Father created. He came to save us, to save all of us, sinners that we are, thieves and murderers, bigots and warmongers, those of us that hold grudges too long, those of us that judge others too much, good Christians and bad priests, me and you and my friend. Jesus came to save us all. And that is the truth. And that is what each and every one of us is capable of sharing, no matter who we are or what we've done. Merry Christmas, and may God bless you.